Heads up, because you are in the Hoodwood. I'm the Black Bandit, KJ Green, welcoming you to another edition of Sports from the Hoodwood. Another short show today. We're going to kind of throw around some ideas, some kind of test things here and there. So if you see me look off to the right or the left or something like that, I'm looking at notes. Another short show this week as we try to get things kind of rejiggered up, recalibrated, reset up for a brand new season. Preseason NFL is upon us. The NFL preseason, such that it is 3 games. Most people are going, who cares? Just nobody get hurt. Preseason to me has always been a kind of a mixed bag. You want to see players play. You want to see your teams play well. I just finished watching the Vikings lose to the Patriots in week 2 of the preseason, but it's like, okay, if you go undefeated in the preseason, who cares? If you go winless in the preseason, then people are going, oh, what happens if we go winless in the preseason? But it doesn't matter. The games that matter are in September. Once we get past Labor Day, then wake me up, because then we'll have meaningful games. Now, on that subject, we will be talking about NFL picks. Now, every week I'll be here doing my picks. All 16 games, unless the teams are on bye, we'll do a pick for every game. That's the month of August. It's kind of one of those slog through months where you're kind of going, not quite. The Bennett races are still in full force, but they haven't really geared up to where you're paying attention to every game. And NFL is kind of on the horizon, kind of peeking over everybody's shoulder going, hi there, I'm back. And of course, what I do every year is I do NFL picks. I predict who I think is going to win every game. I'll give you who I think is going to win, head to head, some of the interesting information on the games. And then, of course, my weekly pick. Now, last year I did pretty good. I was about, I'm trying to think of how good was I? How good was I? Now, people say, well, can you do that? Are you any good at it? I think I am pretty good. Of 272 games last year, I was 70% last year. Where's my wood? I can knock on it to hopefully have a similar season from last year. I went 191 and 81. That's a 70.02 winning percentage. And I also do what I call the locks of the week and the upsets of the week. Now, locks of the week, I did pretty good hitting the locks pretty much 2/3 of the time of the 18 weeks. Now, there's 17 games in a season, but it's spread out over 18 weeks. So I have 18 weeks of picks. Of the 18 weeks of locks, I was 12-6. That's 2/3 of the picks. It's pretty good. Now, the upsets, I was about half and half. I usually, that's pretty much the way it runs. You want to be good on your locks and pick upsets about half the time. Last year I was 9-9, 500, break even. But what I'm hoping to do is to be better on the upsets and stay locked in on the locks. See what I did there? Hey, play on words. But nonetheless, the picks will come in pretty much every week. I'll try to do them on Wednesday or Thursday. I'm still trying to figure out how the schedule I'm going to do with there being Thursday games. And we've gone on record. Hoodwood is on record. I hate Thursday games. I hate them with a passion. Anyway, I don't like Thursday games for the simple reason is that it's such a quick turnaround time. Now, most games, of course, you're not going to have a team that plays on Monday turns around and plays on Thursday. They're not going to do that. But there's a very good chance that your favorite team plays on Sunday and then turns around and plays a Thursday night game. Now, the NFL has been trying to make the Thursday kind of another showcase game, putting more bigger matchups on the Thursday game. Thursday games used to be really a throwaway game. It used to be kind of one of those, we'll give the lesser teams a primetime day, but it'll be on Thursday. Nobody will see them. Nobody will pay attention to them. But now with entities like Amazon Prime in the mix, they're paying big money for these games. The NFL is kind of going, well, can we make this a showcase game? And the play has been ragged. very, very ragged. I hate watching my beloved Vikings play on Thursday night, primarily because I'm always afraid that they're going to play bad, and they usually do. Nevertheless, the NFL has decided we're going to make Thursday games a staple of the NFL diet. I don't like it. I personally think that the NFL should scrap Thursday night games. Well, what should they do? Here's an idea. Make a Monday night doubleheader. Stay with me now. You have enough Western-based teams, where you can have a steady diet of late games on a Monday night. Now, I know people like me usually go to bed about 11:30 are going to miss a lot of those Monday night late games. But you have teams on the West Coast, your LA team, your Bay Area team, not teams, because there's only one team in the Bay Area, but your Western-based teams that are in the Mountain and Pacific time zone. You have enough of these teams where you can have enough of a rotation of games to be played in these Western venues. 7 o'clock for the first game on Monday night. 10:15 for your second team, Eastern times, of course. So you have kind of an early game for the West Coast on a Monday night, but you have a prime time Monday night game for the West Coast teams. Scrap the Thursday games, do a Monday night doubleheader every week. ESPN, trying to get more into the foray of this, can have both of those games. Or have ABC run the early game, ESPN run the second game. Flip-flop, whichever one works best. You can have ESPN running the game for your West Coast teams for your early game, and then have ABC run the games for the Western-based teams for the 10 o'clock Eastern games. I think it would be a good setup. You eliminate Thursday games, and you have multiple showcase games on Monday night. I think the NFL could do this and make it more of a prime time showcase games, where you have your Sunday night game, which the NFL has been for the last 10 to 15 years, making that the prime game of the week, Sunday night. But you're also bringing back emphasis on that Monday night game. Me growing up, Monday night games were the big game to watch. I grew up in the late 70s, 80s, where Monday Night Football was the showcase game. You can bring that emphasis back for Monday night with a Monday night doubleheader. That being said, I will also put together my, I don't know if you can say picks of who I think will do, how they finish in the NFL. We'll start with NFC and then do the AFC. Or should I just do, I don't know. I'll figure it out. Anyway, like I said, this is a work in progress, so you got to bear with me. Anyway, let's start out with the NFC divisions. Let's start out with the NFC East. Okay, let's start with NFC teams. We'll start with the NFC East in order of predicted finish, at least Hoodwood predicted finish anyway. First off, we'll start with the Philadelphia Eagles, defending Super Bowl champs. They look like the team still to beat in the NFC. Will there be a post-Super Bowl hangover? That's anyone's guess, but I still think they are strong enough to hold off the other three challengers in the NFC East for this season at least. Jalen Hurts leading his merry band of offensive juggernauts with Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, and the like. This is a team that will put the points up and dare you to stop them. If they can throw on you, they can run on you. As long as this team stays healthy, I still say they are a threat to get back to the Super Bowl in February. Second, in the NFC East, I have my prediction is the Washington Commanders. I still think they should be the Washington Warriors, but that's another debate for another day. The growth of Jaden Daniels is frightening. No one expected this team to get this good this fast. Will there be a sophomore slump? I really don't think so. I think with as talented as this team is on the offense and defense, that they will be able to push Philly for NFC East supremacy. Now, those two teams will be looking over their shoulders as usual at the team I have coming in third, the Dallas Cowboys. The Pokes, the Pokes are a drama in themselves. Dak Prescott, if he stays healthy, he keeps the Pokes in relative relevance, if you will, to be at least a dangerous team. A playoff team, I don't know. They have too many questions on the offensive end, and Dak Prescott can't hold this team up by himself, even though many Cowboy fans wish he would and could. But the defense, Micah Parsons is not a happy camper, and the longer he holds out, the more of the defense will remain in flux. Bringing up the rear in the NFC East, I have the New York Football Giants. This is a team that is an absolute mess. Jackson Dart may get the reins right out the bat to be the quarterback, but is he the future of the team? This year, probably not. With three much stronger teams ahead of them, the Gents may not be able to win a game in the division. They may go 0-4 in the division. Turning to the NFC North, we have, and I want to, and people say, oh, you're so biased and everything, but I can't do it. I have first place in the NFC North is the Detroit Lions. This team is still the team to beat, and their window is still wide open for a Super Bowl run. Now, given their playoff collapse against Washington last year after winning 14 games and the NFC North, this should have been a team that was straight line to the Super Bowl. But unfortunately, they ran into a Washington team that was putting up points. Now, this team will not have the kind of injury bug that they did in 2024. That being said, this team is still primed to make a Super Bowl run. Can they get by Philly? Can they get by Washington? Is anybody's guess. But I still say that they are the strongest team in the division. The second place team in the NFC North, according to my prediction, Minnesota Vikings. Now, yes, I know the Minnesota Vikings have a rookie quarterback virtually in J.J. McCarthy. He didn't play last year because he was hurt. And the Vikings won 14 games behind Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's gone to Seattle. Minnesota still has a solid running game with Aaron Jones, a spectacular wide receiver in Justin Jefferson, and a defense that is still good enough to win games. Will they win 14 games again like they did last year? No. I think they'll probably win 11 or 12. They'll have trouble with Detroit. Green Bay always gives them a handful, but this is a team that I think will still be in the mix. J.J. McCarthy will be brought along slowly. He'll have to lean on that running game a little bit more, and I think they'll do it enough to win enough games to be in second in the NFC North. Third place prediction I have is the Green Bay Packers. Now, everybody knows I don't like the Green Bay Packers, but I respect their offense. Jordan Love is a good enough quarterback where he can win some games. Their running game, I don't know. One can say one thing or another about them. Are they decent? Their defense may have some problems. They've lost some key components on defense, and you can't keep losing components on defense and hope to stay afloat, especially in a tough division like the NFC North. And bringing up the rear end of the NFC North, I have the Chicago Bears. Now, Caleb Williams is going to improve. He is improving, and he will be a dangerous quarterback going forward. But with a new coach, a new system, it's going to take some time. And the Bears have had so much flux in the last 5 to 6 years, it's hard to figure out which way they're going to go. Unfortunately, with three teams in the NFC North that are much stronger, Bears might be bringing up the rear. Now let's take a look at the NFC South. The NFC South is probably the weakest of the four divisions in the NFC. 9 wins should be enough to take the division. And who's a team good enough to win 9 games? Of course, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield has basically saved his career. He's found a resurgence and a home in Tampa. He's become their franchise quarterback. Now, with a receiver like Mike Evans, he's going to have plenty of time and plenty of opportunities to throw touchdown passes. The running game is decent, but it's not going to scare anybody. Their defense scares only themselves. But in the super weak NFC South, it really won't matter. 9 wins should be enough to get them the division. 9-8, 10-7 should be enough to get them a home game in the first round of the playoffs. Will they go any further than that? Probably not. But they'll be enough of a bully in that division. Now, close your eyes and draw a name out of the hat. Who do we have going second? Because basically, second through fourth really doesn't matter in this division because all three teams have so many holes and so many problems that you don't know who's going to go second through fourth. And it really doesn't matter. But I'll give the Atlanta Falcons the benefit of the doubt and say that they're good enough to finish second in the division. Their defense is horrid. Their offense, so-so. But it really doesn't matter because when it comes down to it, they're not going to beat Tampa Bay head-to-head. They're not going to go to Tampa and win. So put the 3 names in the hat and pull out. Who do I have finishing third? New Orleans Saints. Another team that is an absolute mess. Since Drew Brees retired, this team has no direction on offense. Derek Carr decided, I'm not going to stay here and get beat up anymore. I'm going to retire too. So that team is in flux as well. And in fourth, bringing up the rear, the Carolina Panthers. Another team that is offensively challenged, defensively inept, and have too many questions to seriously challenge anybody in the division. Can that team win at least 5 games? Possibly, but they're not going to challenge for the division. Now I'll edit that out. Anyway, let's look at the NFC West, shall we? You have the Los Angeles Rams, who I still think is tough enough to win at least a playoff game, win 11 or 12 games, and get deep into the playoffs. Will they get deep in the playoffs? Matthew Stafford is battling Father Time, and Father Time's undefeated. But I think he can hold them off just long enough to be able to lead the Rams to another division title. And second, I have the San Francisco 49ers. This is a team that I am confident will bounce back from its weak 2024 to re-challenge for the division title. Christian McCaffrey cannot have as bad a season as he did last year. I think if he's healthy, he can carry this team. Now, can Brock Purdy be the quarterback of the future? I don't know. But the Niners are good enough to challenge the Rams and keep the other bottom feeders off their back. And third, I have Seattle. The Seahawks have a lot of questions. Sam Darnold comes over from Minnesota, and he has basically resurrected his career. Will he be a one-hit wonder? Seattle banked enough money on it to think that he will be a good enough quarterback to lead their team. I don't think he'll get them to the playoffs, but I think he'll keep them respectable. Bringing up the rear in the NFC West, I have the Arizona Cardinals. I love Kyler Murray. I really do. I think he's a good kid, but he's in a situation in Arizona that is untenable. The natives are restless, the coaching's in flux, and he is trying to hold this team up by himself, and he can't do it. Arizona's defense is bad, and they will get points scored upon them. And with the NFC West as strong as it is, a bad defense is not going to hold weight. I think the Arizona Cardinals bring up the rear in the NFC West. Next week, I'll preview the AFC teams and who I think will go from first to fourth in each division. So that's it. Now, without much further ado, here's a final word from the Wood. Without question, Roger Goodell is one of the most powerful men in sports. The commissioner of the NFL, been in that position since 2006, is without question the grand poobah of football. What he says goes, and his word is more or less law. But his tangling with a current coach and a former coach may weaken his position. Speaking of John Gruden and Brian Flores, in 2 totally separate cases, but the combination of both and his fighting of both of these may bring about, I wouldn't say his downfall, but at least his weakening in the eyes of the sporting public. Now, his tangling with John Gruden goes back to 2021, when Gruden, in his second stint with the Las Vegas Raiders, was more or less brought down by a series of emails that he made to then general manager of the then Washington Football Club, Bruce Allen. When these misogynistic, racist, and otherwise just stupid emails came to light, John Gruden was more or less forced to resign his position as head coach of the Raiders, which he had held in his second stint for 3 years. Gruden has taken his case to court and, through a series of legal wranglings, has now worked its way through the Nevada Supreme Court. This case may very well go to the United States Supreme Court and being, if not reinstated, at least have his good name restored in the annals of pro football coaching. Right now, Gruden is felina non grata, cat not welcome, in coaching circles. He's been working for Barstool Sports since his untimely resignation in 2021. Can Goodell, as the sole arbiter, hold that much sway and force his continued ouster in the NFL? That is something that we will see in a court battle sooner rather than later. The case of Brian Flores is another sticky wicket, if you will. Flores, who was the coach of the Miami Dolphins around the same time Gruden was coach of the Raiders, had 3 tumultuous seasons in Miami before being fired by Miami in 2023. Flores, who is now the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, has maintained that he was told to quote-unquote tank games later in the season to secure the Dolphins a better draft choice. The Dolphins have steadfastly denied this, and NFL has more or less squashed any kind of beef that Flores has had with the NFL in regards to minority coaching. Now, there is the quote-unquote Rooney Rule, which many people say is more or less being pushed aside in regards to minority coaching. Flores has said that he's being held back from getting NFL head coaching jobs because of this quote-unquote tanking. Now, is there any substance to this? Now, Goodell has said that the matter has been closed and that there's nothing else to be said about this, and whatever teams decide to hire Flores is of their own volition. Right now, Flores, in his now 3rd season as defensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings, feels that he is being blocked from getting a head coaching position. Is he one of the most talented coaches in the NFL? Without question. 44 years old. He's also a young coach who should get another shot. Will he get another shot anytime soon? That question still remains to be answered. But his beef with Goodell is very public and has made him kind of radioactive as a head coaching position for any of the other 30 teams in the NFL. Of course, the Vikings aren't going to hire him because they have a coach of their own. But would other teams want to hire Flores away as a head coach? A lot of teams are kind of hesitant because they feel if they hire Flores, they may be subject to quiet punishment by Goodell. Goodell in himself is, again, as I said, one of the unquestioned most powerful men in sport. In sports, of course, football. Will one of these two men bring about his downfall? It maybe remains to be seen. And that is the final word from Wood. And with the music coming up in the background, you know that means that your time here in the Hoodwood is just about done, and I thank you so much for your visiting. The show's email is kjgreen@sportsfromthehoodwood.com. Please send me emails regarding show topics, both past and future, questions, comments on the show, both praise and criticism. I welcome your correspondence, and we'll try to get back to you in a timely manner. Now, the show's website is sportsfromthehoodwood.com, which has a back catalog of the show dating back 13 years in both audio and video forms. So check that out if there are any shows that you may have missed. You can join the debate and conversation on the Sports from the Hoodwood page on Facebook, which also has the video podcast simulcast, as well as other topics, funny stuff that I find on the web. There's a lot of interaction from our members. There's a lot of great sports debate and lots more. I do post often and respond to member posts frequently. If Now, the video versions are on YouTube and Spotify. Spotify has now increased its video capabilities, so you can also catch that there. Please hit that subscribe button, smash that like button for more great content. Now, we are trying to get back on Blue Sky. It's kind of working a little bit against us, but we are trying to post on as much social media as possible, so do be patient with our social media presence as we're trying to get back. Your correspondence is encouraged, and we do respond back, so do like and follow us as many social platforms that you can find us on. Now, the audio version is on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Samsung Podcast, Apple Podcast, and a host of other fine podcast providers and platforms. Have I forgotten any? Did I forget yours? If yours not on there, drop me a line, and I'll do what I can to see if we can get it to your favorite podcast provider. We've expanded our podcast availability thanks to your correspondence, and I thank you so much for reaching out to me. As always, special thanks to Rethinking Pictures for providing production assistance, both the show and website. That's it from the Hoodwood. Another short show, but we try to pack in as much as possible. Thanks so much for your correspondence and your patronage. Until next time, fellow sports fans, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm Merely Bev's son, KJ Green.
Sports from the Hoodwood is a Black Bandit Productions and Enterprises presentation of a 551 audio and films production.